And there I was the girl from Suits.
This one's wife. Is anybody asking me how I feel? Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This is a hellish time for this one's wife. Attempting, once again, to rehabilitate her image with a series of carefully orchestrated PR appearances and PR puff pieces, this one's wife had been appearing at Whistler, at another ski resort, being seen going out for lunch, being seen going out for dinner, making an appearance at the South by Southwestern event, that she had been involved in making a speech at an art event at the stadium just recently, and all of this has been overshadowed and has paled into insignificance as a consequence of the recent diagnosis of the Princess of Wales with regard to her having cancer. You will recall a number of years ago that a tearful This One's Wife, when being interviewed by Tom Bradby of ITV News, pointed out, "Nobody asked me if I was okay," giving people an early glimpse of the victim mentality of the Duchess of Delusion. The pity plays that she would regularly utilise, which were done because she cannot understand why everybody doesn't like her, why people aren't concerned about her. It doesn't compute that many people think that she's an annoying individual that is hungry for attention, that thirsts for recognition, and they wish that she would just go and crawl under a rock. She simply doesn't get it. And the fact that the nemesis is now receiving an outpouring of support and sympathy really infuriates this one's wife. She expects people to be asking her how she is. In part, asking her, how do you feel about the news about the Princess of Wales? We know, as a consequence of understanding her narcissism, that she doesn't feel anything in terms of support, care, or compassion towards the Princess of Wales, because this one's wife has no emotional empathy whatsoever. A degree of cognitive empathy caused her to issue the rather icy and succinct message of 2 sentences. Calling her Kate rather than Catherine demonstrates the curtness and the contemptuous nature. And the fact is that this one's wife cannot stand the fact that the Princess of Wales is the one that's getting all of the attention. Many people would think to themselves, that's morally reprehensible. This woman, who's a wife and a mother, has had serious abdominal surgery and now has learned that she's got cancer, resulting in her having chemotherapy. Surely you should understand this and show some compassion. Surely you should not be making this about you. But this doesn't compute for this one's wife. Yes, she understands why people are providing sympathy towards Catherine. She understands that cancer is a serious matter. But notwithstanding that understanding, she is governed by the need to pursue the prime aims. And the attention going to Catherine undermines her need for control, that subconscious need for control, whilst starves her of fuel. It prompts her to ask, with no hint of irony, why isn't anybody asking how I feel about all of this? The response of anybody who's got their brain functioning would turn and say to her, what are you on about? This isn't about you. This is about Catherine. You're not the one that's undergone surgery. You're not the one that's convalescing. You're not the one that's had the diagnosis of cancer. Why are you asking, why is it that nobody's asked me that I'm okay? If you were to put that to this one's wife, she would give you a puzzled look, because she expects that you should be asking after her. How does she feel at this moment in time? Is it affecting her in any way? Is she okay? Is she suffering from any ailments? Are there any problems that she's experiencing that you should be attending to? Remember, this one's wife places herself at the centre of the universe, which means that she expects you and you and you over there to understand her needs without her necessarily articulating them. That the world ought to be like a series of courtiers, all waiting on her every need and requirement, anticipating them ahead of time. And the fact that nobody is fussing around her, even though, of course, there's no actual need for them to do so, perplexes her. You may find this extraordinary, find it astonishing to think that in circumstances where her sister-in-law has a diagnosis of cancer, that she would be stood there thinking, but why isn't anybody asking about me? But believe me, this is the way that certain narcissists will behave, especially one that's mid-range. Passive-aggressive in her behaviours, totally self-absorbed, and one that regularly plays the victim. It's got to be about her. It's got to be about her well-being. It's got to be about the problems that she is experiencing. And the actual fact is that the attention that is going to Catherine presents a massive problem for this one's wife. As I've explained elsewhere, her narcissism will cause her to continue to draw fuel from other people in the fuel matrix. But the envy that's exhibited is such that she can't stand the fact that Catherine is getting this sympathy. Yes, it's extraordinary, but the fact is, she cannot stand the fact that someone is getting sympathy because of their cancer diagnosis. Rather than thinking, gosh, I feel very lucky that I've got my health, she would almost be thinking, why can't that be me? It is as perverse as that when it comes to the narcissist's behaviour. She expects people to be asking how it makes her feel. Of course, she's not devastated for the Princess of Wales. She's devastated that in effect it's not happened to her. As I've told you before, the narcissist must be the bride at every marriage, or the groom at every marriage, and the corpse at every funeral. It needs to be about the narcissist. And therefore this one's wife is expecting lots of people to be asking her, how do you feel about what's happened to Kate? Not for her to talk about Catherine in suitably appreciative terms, but to talk about her feelings, how it impacts upon her, how sad and upset she pretends to be, how devastating it is for her when, in actual fact, the only thing that is devastating is the lack of attention, fuel, that she's experiencing. She wants to be able to speak out. She wants to be able to tell the world about her and what it matters to her. It's not about giving support to Catherine. It's not about putting herself in Catherine's shoes and thinking, gosh, how awful it must be for her having to deal with all of this and all of the speculation. But rather, it's all about, I was so shocked to learn this. I was so stunned at this news. It's awful, etc. Concentrating on her apparent feelings. Because the parasite that is the narcissist will leech off the misfortune of other people, whether it's their deaths, their redundancy, their illness, the breakup of a relationship, whatever it might be, and turn it into all how it impacts upon them and how it makes them feel. And this one's wife is sat there somewhere in Monty Shit Show, perhaps on one of the 27,000 flushing toilets, wondering, why isn't anybody asking me how I feel about all of this? Believe me, that is precisely what is going through her mind. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.